My first reaction when this movie ended was, what? This movie definitely does not answer all your questions, but does it have to? And does that make it a bad movie? Let's find out. Leave the World Behind is a new Netflix original movie that is directed by Sam Esmail and stars Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, Mahershala Ali, and Myha'la, who I don't know if everyone will be familiar with, but she is in the show Industry on HBO. She plays a Spitfire little brat in that show, and she plays the same kind of personality in this movie. She's very excellent, and she stands out among a cast of already really talented actors. I first became familiar with Sam Esmail when I watched the show Mr. Robot, which starred Rami Malek. That show was very odd. It had something very just catchy about it right away. There's a trippiness to it. It reminded me of like a Michael Mann or like a Quentin Tarantino. But he's like neither of those directors. He's a very talented director, and so when I saw that he was making a feature-length movie for Netflix, obviously my excitement was sky high, and I think this movie mostly knocked it out of the park and gave me exactly what I was expecting.
I went online this morning and I rented us a beautiful house out by the beach. I figured if I made the reservation and packed our bags, it would eliminate most of the reasons to say no.
This movie begins with Julia Roberts deciding that she is sick of things. She needs a break. She wants a little bit of space from people. She thinks people suck. So she decides to rent this Airbnb so that her and her family can get some time off. And this is a great house. This house is amazing. It has a great pool. There's a nice beach. Everything seems to be going really well until one night, suddenly, two strangers knock on the door asking to be let inside and saying that this is their house. This is definitely a very weird situation. I think we can all agree that nobody wants to experience that. So you can immediately understand Julia Roberts' apprehension when she sees these two people. She's thinking, no, this is my rental. I paid the money. You should not be here. How do I even know this is your place? And I think that was a brilliant way to begin the movie. It definitely reminded me of Barbarian. That movie also had something with a double booked Airbnb, but I guess this isn't really the same situation, but it definitely is very similar and reminded me of that. Earlier in the movie, there's a scene, and it's in the trailer, so this is not a spoiler, but there's a scene where the family is enjoying some time on the beach, and way off in the distance, there is a freighter, and the youngest girl in the family, she notices this freighter, and, it looks like it's coming straight at the beach. And you, as the audience, you're thinking, okay, I guess that's something to keep an eye on. And then as the scene plays out, the little girl is still paying attention and this freighter is still getting closer and the parents are still not freaking out. And you're starting to think, yeah, it's time to grab the towel. Come on, let's get going. And then finally it comes crashing ashore, and that scene was just so superbly made. It was one of the best scenes in this movie, and it was a great way to grab you right away and just let you know that this is going to be a really intense movie. You're going to see some pretty cool end of the world doomsday kind of things in this movie. Another really cool scene, also glanced in the trailer, involves some white Teslas. I'm not going to get into the spoilers, but this scene was really well made. I'm definitely going to be very wary when I set my car to self-driving mode because this scene was pretty cool, but very intense. I watched this movie at home because it's on Netflix like the rest of you, but I tried to make it feel like I was at the theater. I had my sound system cranked way up, and this movie sounded fantastic. There was a lot of use of the surrounds, a lot of use of the heights. Anytime I watch a movie on streaming, I can be a little bit nervous because when you watch a movie on streaming, you're getting the Dolby Digital Plus version of Atmos. You're not getting the Dolby True version of Atmos, and there is a difference. But I have to say, this movie was stellar anyways, and it made great use of my sound system and kept me entertained with this stellar track. There's an unnerving tension that is just present throughout this movie. I just kept wanting to know what's going on. I really wanted answers. What's going on out there? Is there an alien invasion? Is there an AI attack? I wanted answers, and this movie doesn't really reveal things to you at a very fast pace. You don't really find out what's truly going on until the end of the movie, and even in that point, you don't really get enough information to truly feel like you understand everything. I think that is probably one of this movie's cons, but also I think it was intentional. I think the director wants you to have to think about things a little bit, maybe come up with some of your own assumptions. That is a good way to tell a story sometimes, is to let the audience be part of the story. And I think that in that regard, this movie definitely succeeded. I just think that some people are going to find that to be less than stellar quality. If I had to say another con, I think I would say that maybe some of the CGI could have been a little bit better, especially with some of these deer. There's a lot of deer in this movie, and as I was watching it, I kept thinking of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and the Ape franchise, and those apes looked so realistic. They looked so fantastic that you could almost be forgiven for thinking that you're watching real talking apes. And in this movie, the deer, I'm like, no, that's definitely not a real deer, and I can definitely tell. And it's not really a huge deal. It's a small gripe, but it is something that I thought was a little distracting. I thought if the deer looked a little bit better, if they just put a little bit more time, it would have been less distracting and it would have been more immersive. But, you know, these are small things to complain about. And overall, I thought this movie did a great job. It pulled me in. It kept me interested. It kept me asking questions. And I think that's what Sam Esmail wanted. To summarize, I thought this was a really good movie. I think that most people are going to really like it. I bet you since this is coming out so close to the holidays, this is going to be a really popular thing to watch over Christmas break. It's a little bit longer movie, but it's a great use of 2.5 hours. There's a fantastic cast. No actor or actress in this movie is wasted. And so I definitely think this movie is definitely an 8.5 out of 10. I would recommend it, and I think people should definitely be watching this. So if this review is interesting to you, be sure to hit like on this video. It lets me know that my video doesn't suck and that I'm doing a decent job. If you want to see more things like this, be sure to subscribe. I have more stuff coming, and I can't wait to get to see you guys again. Later.